Pipe Network presents.
So going back to your question, what should I tell my younger self? Yeah, just to take things slow, don't rush yourself, enjoy every moment because it's over before you know it. Before you know it, you're turning 30, you're turning 40, and who knows, right? So up to when you're gonna live. So just enjoy what's in front of you.
Mainit na diskusyunan,
Masarap na kwentuhan,
malinamnam na usapan,
at nakakagising na balitaktakan.
parang kape lang. My name is Jeff.
And I'm Waya Angeline.
Join us in our conversations at Coffee na Lang Dear Podcast.
Hey folks, welcome back to the Rajiv show, and I am excited. I have a guest that's all the way from wherever she is, whichever part of the world, and I'm happy to have international guests on my show, and this is gonna be an interesting one. And what else can I say? Well, what else can I say more? I have no information about who my guests are normally, so let me just go ahead and introduce my guests. Ma'am Shelley. Hi, Ma'am Shelley. How are you?
Hi, Rajiv. You can just call me Shelley. Thank you for having me here today. I'm really excited.
Awesome, awesome. This is going to be a fun episode. Before
Yeah.
we get into the meat and bones of our episode here, I want to take it back to a time travel to back in the day. I want to ask you, if
Mhm.
you and I were classmates in high school, who were you in high school? If you and I were classmates in high school.
Oh wow, that you know what? That's very timely because just last week, just this weekend, I met with some of my high school friends I haven't seen for about a decade. These are like, well, first to answer your question, I'm really friendly. I have so many friends during high school. So if some people did not really enjoy high school, I'm the type. I'm the one who really enjoyed it. That if I want to go back to a certain part of my life, it's gonna be high school. So to answer that, I'm probably the friendly one. Although I have a bit of things that, I did some silly things, but it's something that I do not really regret. So those are mostly fun things. So it's gonna be fun. You and I are gonna be good friends if we were to meet in high school for sure.
Awesome, awesome. What a way to open up a conversation. This is usually the conversation starter that I have, and this is the best that I could have. And I wanted to ask furthermore, as a friendly person, how would you categorize yourself? Introvert, extrovert, inverted? How would you put yourself in that box, that label?
Oh wow. If I was still in high school, I would definitely label myself as an extrovert, very much an extrovert because like I said, I'm very friendly, I'm always out there. I probably carry that same um category or that label up to I was all throughout my school years, college. But then eventually as you grow older, things change a little bit, but if we're talking about my younger years, I'm definitely an extrovert.
Awesome.
100%.
Awesome, awesome. That's interesting that you said that. In terms of change, in terms of growth, what have you learned that that has taken you this far in life? If you don't mind me asking.
Well, yeah, of course. As you grow older, of course, it's not all fun and games. When you grow up, you really have to, because you know what they say, going through adulthood, there are a lot of changes that you're going to encounter. It's not always going to be all fun and games and just like hanging out with your friends. So you really have to face certain responsibilities, some problems that you've never encountered before that would be really sometimes be really difficult for you. So some of those experiences could definitely change you as a person. So it's not like I completely turned around from becoming extrovert. You know what they say, there's an ambivert in between introvert an extrovert. So somehow I could probably put myself in that category towards the latter part, like when I was getting older, because there will be things that you have to deal on your own.
Yeah.
And there are things that it's okay to share with your friends and to deal with by spending time with other people. But of course, you will learn as you grow older that there will be things that you have to um, deal with yourself on your own terms, on your own, by yourself without needing to involve other people with these concerns in your life.
That's powerful. Right off the bat, you really took it into a powerful philosophical state. I love people that create that vibe. It's an amazing vibe. Could you is there anything that you would want to say that could motivate, can bring life to, if to your past self, if you have a, if if you have that idea of talking to your past self?
Oh yeah, I see this and read this a lot that if I get the chance to talk to or tell something to my younger self, it's probably, well, I did enjoy myself when I was a lot younger. I did a lot of things that, you know, is really something that I don't regret, that I know that really contributed to who I am right now. But so just probably take things slow, like there's no need to hurry about being successful or like achieving your goals right away. There's really no deadline to your goals, because I guess that's also the reason why I came about um this podcast that I just came up very very recently, is because I want to be able to remind myself of the struggles that I went through, and I want to go back to that. I want to go back to these thoughts that I'm having right now, because right now I want to think that I'm still young. I'm 39, by the way. I'm turning 40 in a few months, and I want to be able to capture these thoughts that I have right now. I think this is the main purpose why I'm trying to record or document my thoughts, because I know it's going to change over time. So going back to your question, what should I tell my younger self? Yeah, just to take things slow, don't rush yourself, enjoy every moment, because it's over before you know it. Before you know it, you're turning 30, you're turning 40, and who knows, right? So up to when you're gonna live. So just enjoy what's in front of you.
Wow. You mentioned podcasts. Let's dig into this topic. May I know what your podcast is and what it's all about?
Oh yeah, the podcast, it started out as an outlet just for my thoughts. I just, like I said, I just want to be able to document my thoughts,
Hmm.
because when I was growing up, I had a whole bunch of, diary, a journal. I have probably almost 20 of those. I just keep writing my thoughts in there. I still have it up to now. But of course, at this day and age, you don't do journals anymore. So I just thought about doing a podcast. So it's very specific. This podcast is very specific. It's about a middle-aged woman, like a 39-year-old going to 40. So as people would say, life begins at 40. So even before I get to that part, I just want to look back on some of my experiences, some of my life hacks maybe, or realizations that I want to be able to share to people my age, middle-aged women or men, whoever can relate, and give them a content that would encourage them and make them feel that not everyone at this point of our lives have everything together. So we're
Hmm.
doing good.
That's powerful. That's powerful. I love it. I love this conversation. It's really, really. I enjoy conversations like this. This moments, capturing moments like this are what makes life really more meaningful. Because, to me personally, having listened to
Mhm.
almost 65 plus stories, I it blows my mind how parallel life is, and to share the same experience, that journaling thoughts Sometimes
Yeah,
nowadays it's much easier to speak than it is to write because that's how the speed of the world
exactly.
works. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why I enjoyed the earlier concept of this podcast that I had was also a journaling thing. And the best way I could
Oh,
journal
wow.
is first I journaled my experience from India and my experience in Philippines, and then right after I
Mhm.
finished that, I ran out of ideas. So I came up with a concept called the Let's Talk series, which is one of my mega super duper mega projects because it took me a year to accomplish that project. It took me the entire year of 2021. And
Okay.
every Wednesdays I was churning out content after content after content, and this was interviews as well. It was
Okay.
international, national, domestic. I interviewed my father, and I interviewed
Oh,
a,
wow.
a bunch of people, and everybody had a different take on a different perspective on life, and it just blew my
Yeah.
mind. And I remember, I think I still remember the number of the episode 13, I think, of the Let's Talk series, where the first time I actually cried because the story was so powerful and
Oh,
it was so interesting. It blew my mind away and it made me cry. So I'm choking up just thinking about it, I guess. So
for
yeah,
sure.
it's an amazing feeling to have people to talk to and people to connect with, and it's nice that there are people out there who share the same values as I am, and
Yeah.
I'm honored.
And for you to talk, to be able to interview your dad, you actually gave me an idea because, I probably want to put my mom on here just to document her thoughts and things like that. Yeah, that's such a really good thing to do, and the best way to spend our time, especially during these times when we're still isolated.
Yeah. Yeah, bring her in. That's how it would be a nice me- was that memorabilia, uh, so that at
Yeah.
least the one thing I take for granted is the interview that I had with my father is now an easier reason to have a Father's Day present, because if you run out of gifts to give, that could be your present. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You got him recorded.
Yeah.
You noted his thoughts.
The funny thing about
You
that
can pick it
though,
up from there.
the only problem about that is I cannot get my mom on the show, so that's my big loss. And I always get this big disappointment. What did you get for me on Mother's Day? I I don't know how to explain myself in that regard.
Oh, there's a lot. Moms are like so easy to please. I'm a mom myself, so I know that like small things from our kids would really mean so much from us. Just time, spend time with her, things like that. So you don't have to sweat it out.
Yeah, having her on the podcast would make my life much easier, so that at least I can repurpose my content and reshare the content. But yeah, but I did do a
That's
tribute
gonna
for
be
both of them.
your goal. Oh wow, it's so sweet. I only have my mom with me, so I'd probably just focus on her because my dad's no longer with us. But yeah,
Sorry to
just
hear.
oh, yeah, it's been a while, but just spending a lot of time with your parents. That's one thing that you really have to focus on now.
Awesome, awesome. May I ask your profession, by the way?
Sure. So I'm an events professional. I've been managing events for over a decade. So that's pre-pandemic. So,
Yeah.
busy doing events and things like that. I used to be in a convention center. I manage huge events, and it takes so much of my time. And then eventually I moved on to hotel setting, but also events. So, another experience for me. Right before the pandemic, I was doing events in a corporate setting. So it's like an internal events this time. So all events my entire life until the pandemic hits, I had to do work from home. And as you know, events stopped during this time, right? So I had to
Yeah.
um that try to look for other opportunities online. And mm, I'm so lucky to be able to find this online work where also has to do with events, but more like sales, more like marketing stuff. So I get to use, my communication skills, which I haven't. Well, I've been using it in the hotel in my events um profession, but not as much as I'm using it now. And realizing that you can earn as much money doing work from home as
Yeah.
much, not, but with not much effort, time wasted, and um, travel and stuff like that. You can earn as much online, work from home, as much as you're earning in a prestigious venues and events and in the industry basically. So I'm doing this for about 2 years now. So that's why I was able to do other things such as
Mhm.
podcasting. Because if I was still in the events industry, I would probably be focusing on just events. I wouldn't be doing anything else. I can go to the gym, I can do podcasts, I can't spend time with my only daughter. There's so much time now. But yeah, just to answer your questions, I've been in the events industry for over a decade, for such a long time, almost my entire career.
Wow. That reminds me of my sister because she also handles events, and that's the last that I could recall. I'll be having her on my show soon, and that's gonna
Oh
be an
wow.
interesting thing.
Yeah.
Events is life. Hashtag events is life. That's a new thing.
Oh
We should get
yeah.
that. We should get that on a T-shirt or something. Events is life.
If I used to have that hashtag event life whenever I post stuff from my work.
Yeah.
So yeah, making it look it's glamorous and all, making it look like it's all fun, but there's a lot of hard work behind it. So I
Yeah.
salute everyone in the industry. They're really doing a great job. This pandemic made them like rest for a little bit, but got them a bit worried because it literally stopped. Our world literally stopped. But I
Yeah.
guess a lot of us took it as an opportunity to discover our other skills, other things. But it's good that it's coming back up now. It's good. And I'm
Yeah.
glad to just be able to attend events, just attend them without
Yeah.
having to worry about other things like the food, the time, the
Yeah.
setup of your audio visual and things like that. I don't have to worry about that now. So I'm just enjoying myself being able to attend events for a change.
I'm dying to hear a story. I'm sure you said that you worked in events for almost a decade. I'm dying to hear a funny
Yeah.
story that you've done in the events world, because I'm sure you've done something that made you go, "Oh, okay," and then you just laughed it off. I'm sure there's a story out there
Oh
that,
God, a lot, a lot.
yeah. I'm sure I'm just waiting for that story.
Okay, well, oh my God, you know what? There's such a lot of stories. Not exactly funny, but when you look back to it, it's just gonna be funny for you because during that time, you're dying. Top of my mind, like during the Christmas season, you know how traffic it is all over the place, right?
Yeah.
And your guests would start to arrive because the events that I handle, because we are the venue of the event, so these companies would go to our venue and then they'll do their thing, right? So I'll be the one to manage their venue, the arrival of their guests, making sure that they're safe when they get there, all the tables and chairs to set up and things like that, right? On
Yeah.
top of my mind, I would remember, this is exactly not exactly funny, but it was something that I would never forget. So there are already guests, all dressed up. It's a Christmas party. There's a couple of Christmas parties happening at the same time in our venue, right?
Yeah.
And the food is supposed to be served at
Yeah.
7 p.m. But there's no food yet. So what we did was we had to go to the mall and grab some snacks and literally they just cut out some of those chips and put it together in a bowl just so we could serve something for the guests.
Yeah.
Because, the caterer, this is before I worked in a hotel, because the caterer was so late, there was literally no food. So that was like, you know how you could just imagine how the organizers felt during that time. So we just had to feed them some chips for the meantime. It was a bit late, but then eventually they came. But what's worse was there's not just one event that experienced it at on that same day. There's a couple of them. But just to be fair, I think it was really raining hard during that time. So, but of course, you should also give enough time and make sure that you're still going to be there on time regardless of the situations, because the show should go on. That's how it is.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Wow.
just one thing very recently, so you know cosplays, right? Cosplay events. These are like
Yeah.
really huge events for in the community. When I
Yeah.
was in the because this is very recent, that's why I remember. When I was still in the this venue, this convention center, these cosplay events would like really take over the entire venue and even the entire complex.
Yeah.
And it would really be one of my a biggest headache, that people are all over, like security stuff, sanitation issues and things like that,
Yeah.
programs, and people being all over the place. It's really an event that I don't really look forward to
Yeah.
until last month. I think there's a big cosplay event in the same venue, so I don't work there anymore, right? So my kid and her cousin, so these kids wanted to go to a
Yeah.
cosplay, and I had to bring them there. And I could just imagine, what I went through when I was handling that event. Now here I am lining up for these kids, going to these places
Yeah.
where I know they're not supposed to go. So I'm just the one policing them as they go, because I know exactly what these event managers are going through if we're going to give them that problem. So it's just
Yeah.
funny that, it goes around. But we did have fun. These kids that really had fun. They've been locked out for about 2 years, so
Yeah.
I think you want to give it to them and have their moment during this event. Even if I just really got tired walking around that big venue. So yeah,
That's interesting. That's
so
interesting.
there.
Cosplaying is a good that I agree that cosplaying is a good thing, and yeah, I understand the headache because I've also experienced being an audience on
Okay.
cosplay, so I can understand the stress of the person because he has to manage everything from usually there's a show going on and everything has to be happening.
Yeah.
It's hard, but yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
The
sure.
lines from early morning, like the queues in the morning, like everyone wants to get in at the same time,
Yeah.
security, going up the escalator and things like that. Small things, but it's really, if it goes wrong, it's really gonna be a disaster. So you really have to look out for those things.
Interesting, interesting. Wow. It has been a blast having this conversation with you, Shelley. I really
Same
love
here.
this. I really love this conversation, but unfortunately, Zoom is reminding me that we have the timer, the 40-minute timer thing. So, just to wrap up this conversation, and hopefully you'd come back to the show and share some more stories with us here on the Rajiv Show. Uh, before
Sure,
we
I'd
wrap
love to.
Before we wrap up this conversation, of course, my listeners would want to connect with you via social media. How will they find you on social
Oh,
media?
okay. Oh yeah, Rajiv, I'm a very private person. I don't really have like public social media, but what my real purpose in being here is for me to be able to promote the podcast. It's called Very Shelley, the podcast on being almost 40, because it's the purpose of that, like I said, is to reach out to women who want to have relatable content, or like be able to have someone they could relate to. Because like I said, not everyone at this age, at this point of our lives, have everything together. So I just wanted to let them know that we're still doing good. Okay, even if those people on their mid 20s are already having dilemma of not figuring their lives out yet. So what more for us almost 40s who already started something and probably failed right in the middle of it. I just want to let them know that you're still doing okay. It is not too late to start over at whatever point of your life. So I just want people to go ahead and check it out. It's just called Very Shelley. Just look it up on Spotify. Pretty much that's what I'm working on right now. So there.
Awesome, awesome. I want to thank you, Shelley, for being a part of the show. And yeah, like I said, I hope to hear
Pleasure.
from you again. And we've had an amazing conversation here. This is a hit. I love it. I love this conversation. This
Sure
is one
did.
of the conversations that I have in my heart. So I want to thank you so much again for being a part of this show. And I want to thank the listeners who have been listening and supporting the show. And with that in mind, cheers, folks. And we will see you in the next episode.
Thank you.